New at 9, the CDC adjusting its childhood vaccine schedule today, lowering the number of shots that children need from 18 to 11, which more closely follows Denmark's vaccine schedule. Thomas Lynch spoke to a pediatrician about this decision and also talked about what parents could do to make sure their kids stay safe. Thomas.
Rachel, despite the CDC's new suggestions, the professional medical field still says that vaccines are safe and should be given to children. The pediatrician I spoke to today has been in medicine for decades, but says that he believes that vaccine distrust is at an all-time high, boosted by misinformation found online and the COVID-19 pandemic. He says that the decision to cut back on vaccines appears to be made without necessarily being based on scientific evidence, and that this decision could really hurt our most vulnerable population.
It will become the children who honestly have long-term negative impacts because of the disease. Some of them will be honestly neurologically devastated depending on the disease that they get. And very sadly, we will see children die from vaccine-preventable diseases.
And Dr. Webb suggests that people who are still unsure about vaccines should turn to their physician or advanced practice provider that they trust with the routine care of their child and have an open discussion about vaccines and their concerns with them.